Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel where today we're going to be going over my Week 12 NFL Power Rankings here on the tier list with our 6 tiers as usual. Super Bowl tier for true contenders, division for teams that I think can make a deep playoff run, wildcard teams that are fighting for the last few playoff spots, mad teams are just kind of average, bad for the bad teams, and booty is for the truly uncomprehensibly bad football teams in the NFL. So let's go ahead and get started here with the Arizona Cardinals, who lost 41-22 to the San Francisco 49ers this week, and they're going into bad tier because even with Jacoby Brissett setting a NFL record for completions, had over 450 yards, 2 touchdowns, but had several turnovers that led the 49ers absolutely stomping the Cardinals. And this is a team who, after 5 straight games of one score losses, they've been looking really bad and getting blown out here recently. Not good at all. I wouldn't be surprised to see a complete regime change here with coaches, GMs gone, and Kyler Murray gone as well. Just a complete restart here for the Cardinals organization here because it's been pretty bad. Also pretty bad is the Atlanta Falcons, who lost in overtime to the Carolina Panthers. And not only that, also lost their young quarterback Michael Penix Jr. for the rest of the year with an ACL injury. He's third of his career, and that's not good because potentially gotta be another quarterback in need for this team due to Kirk Cousins' contract failing and the Michael Penix injury situation not being known, because a third ACL is very concerning. Problem is, they don't own their first round pick. That belongs to the Rams. And this could be a potential top 5 pick because this team has not been playing well, even though they have all the offensive weapons in the world. So yeah, not good there for the Falcons. Next up is the Baltimore Ravens, who played the Browns this week. A bit of a rough offensive setting there here for Baltimore, but they were able to get the win, even though Myles Garrett did everything as possible to make the Ravens lose. Derrick Henry had some good runs there. And so this is a team on the up and up. As we all knew, when Lamar got back, their schedule got easier, and they're starting to creep up here in a wild card again. So Baltimore is a threat, definitely. Next up is the Buffalo Bills, who got a big win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after losing to the Dolphins, which is completely inexcusable. The Bills were able to bounce back in a big way. Josh Allen had one of his best games ever, had 6 total touchdowns. The defense still a bit concerning there. Gave out 32 points to a Buccaneers offense that has basically none of his good players. It's just Emeka Egbuka and some role players that Baker's throwing to. But still, very good win. Good bounce back win for the Bills there. So key there. Next up is Carolina, who I'm putting in the meh tier. To me, the Panthers are the definition of meh. Even though they are 6-5, they just, I don't know, feel very average. Bryce Young did have a really good game against Carolina there. Him and Ted McMillan have had tremendous chemistry this year. Offense is playing very well. Defense still needs some work. This is a team I still think is a year or 2 away, but I do think they found the right head coach. I think Bryce Young is showing enough flashes to make you confident in him, and they're building up that offense really well. So, not yet Carolina, but you're still playing some good football. Next up, Chicago, who I'm having a wild card tier. Even though they are leading the NFC North right now, I don't see this Bears team as a true contender yet. They have to beat better opponents for me to say that, because they're 7-3. That includes come from behind win against a terrible Vikings team, come from behind win against a terrible Raiders team, come from behind victory over the Giants, and several other close victories against not so great teams. I don't think the Bears have beaten an opponent that has a winning record this year, but I will say this. The Bears are taking that next step in progress, because last year they would have lost to these teams. And so if you're a Bears fan, it's good to see that progress going. Ben Johnson is coaching the team very well to have that clutch in them with Caleb Williams is playing good in clutch. Colston Loveland is coming on strong these past couple of weeks. And so there's a lot of optimism for Chicago. I don't see them quite at a contending tier yet. Definitely not a contending tier is the Cincinnati Bengals. My goodness, that was rough against the Steelers there, who played with a backup quarterback for the vast majority of that game. Just offense could not get anything going. Joe Flacco could not do anything. And now Jamar Chase is suspended because he decided to spit in someone's face. Yeah, I think Cincinnati is unraveling here, and Joe Burrow ain't going to save this crap defense. Also crap is the Cleveland Browns, who I am going to move above the Bengals here because I do think the Browns will be able to beat the Bengals at this point. Maybe not with Shedeur, but offense is terrible. Dylan Gabriel out with a concussion, and the Shedeur Sanders came in and was awful. I will say, first moments in NFL can be really, really bad for most quarterbacks, especially a fifth-round pick. But yeah, no, Shedeur was awful. Myles Garrett was going to be Defensive Player of the Year on the 2-win team because that's how good Myles Garrett is. Had 4 sacks on the game. And they played some pretty good defense against the Ravens there, but the offense just is not there. Would not be surprised if Kevin Stefanski gets fired at the end of this year. So the Browns are in booty. Next up, coming into the meh tier is the Dallas Cowboys. Got a victory over the Raiders. Again, not saying too much there. The Raiders are awful. But it was good to see this Cowboys offense kind of bounce back a bit after a couple of rough performances recently to get this victory. So good job there, Dallas. Next up is Denver. Okay, that's a bit more like a Denver. Still a very close game, but you beat the Chiefs 22-19. So, yeah, no, Denver, that was a big, big, big victory here. Basically kind of clinched the division for the Broncos, if I may say so. I mean, they're 9-2. They got a 2.5 game lead on the Chargers, and the Chiefs are already down to 5-5. So Denver, I think, already wrapped up this division. I still don't think they're quite Super Bowl contenders because they still play way too many close games against bad teams for me to give them that. So, yeah, division for Denver. Also in division, dropping down to division is Detroit. That was a rough offensive performance against the Eagles. The Eagles defense is very, very good. I mean, they did it to the Packers. They did it now to the Lions. But still, that was rough. 9 points on a night where your defense held the Eagles to 16. Yeah, that is kind of concerning there, Detroit. I still think they'll be fine, but currently third place in their division. Yeah. Next up is Green Bay, who I am moving up into division tier. I know it was against the Giants, but there were signs from the offense that bode very, very well for the rest of the year. Jordan Love had a great performance. I know his stat line said, under below 50% completion rate. His receivers had 7 drops. An insane amount of drops on that. The defense also had 4 dropped interceptions. This game could have easily been a 40-0 blowout if people could just catch the football. But the way the offense played that game was similar to how they played it in the first couple of weeks of the year when we thought they were going to be world beaters. Defense had some issues against the Giants there, but I still believe in this team. I think the offense showed me enough to move them back up into the division tier. But we'll see what happens against the Vikings because division games are always interesting. So, yeah, Green Bay in division. Houston, I'm having them in meh. I mean, you played a close game against the Titans, had a game when you feel good against the Titans. That's not near enough for playoff caliber. Did enough to win, did enough to keep in the wild card race, but not good out of the Texans there. Colts were on bye week this week, staying up here in Super Bowl tier. I think they're currently the best team in the AFC. They just played the most consistent football. They had the most consistent offense, and I just trust them more than some other teams there. So, Super Bowl for the Colts. Next up is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, after blowing out the Chargers, I'm putting up in a wild card. The Jaguars, I don't know what to do with, guys. They either lay the biggest dud you ever see, or they play incredibly good football. There is no in-between with this Jaguars team. It was a very impressive victory in blowing out the Chargers, so I'm going to have them up there in wild card, but they can go back down to meh next week. Next up, Kansas City. They're 5-5, and they're very much in danger of missing the playoffs. The Chiefs just have not looked right on offense all year. Mahomes, after kind of a hot start, has cooled off massively here. They don't really have a run game. The defense can only do so much. And yeah, I don't know what to think about this team. Because, they're the Chiefs, and I won't say they're dead until they're dead. But, man, this is not the same Chiefs that we are used to, especially now that their one-score game magic has gone in reverse from last year to this year, where they've lost 5 one-loss games. Next up, the Chargers, staying in wild card. That was an absolutely brutal loss to the Jaguars. No doubts about that here. I still think the Chargers are going to make the playoffs. I still think they can be a good team, but yeah, that was a very, very disappointing loss there to the Jaguars. But you know who did not have a disappointing loss? The LA Rams, who are my number 1 team this week. They were able to beat the Seahawks by making Sam Darnold look like Jet Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold has had a really, really good year so far. This Rams defense is legit. Matt Stafford is playing really good football. And overall, this team is just playing very solidly right now. So, yeah, I had the Rams as the number 1 team in the NFL up there in Super Bowl tier. Next is the Raiders. Absolute booty cheeks. Offensive line is terrible. Gentry can't do anything with it because the offensive line is that bad. Geno Smith is not playing well either. So, yeah, definitely booty tier for the Raiders. Moving into bad, Miami. I mean, hey, they got a overtime victory over the Commanders. Played not great, but they're showing fight. They're showing some grit. It was what you need to see from bad teams this late in the year. So there's that. Next up is the Vikings down here in meh. About ready to put them in bad. If J.J. McCarthy has a terrible game against the Packers this week, they're going down in bad because he did not play well for the vast majority of that Bears game. Yes, he had that potential go-ahead drive late in the fourth quarter to get the Vikings the lead, but then the defense blew it and allowed a game-winning field goal by the Bears. So the Vikings, I don't know. They're a very, very difficult team for me to gauge. So they're saying a meh. Next up is the Evil Empire. Yeah, they're up there. I know their schedule's been easy, but they're playing really, really good football. Drake May has been incredible this year. Should be an MVP candidate here. Their offense is using Travion Henderson very well. The defense is playing very well on Mike Vrabel. Yeah, no, the Patriots are up there for me in the Super Bowl tier. They're just playing really, really good football. Saints on the bye week. Still terrible. Still really bad. Can't say much else about that. Next up is New York Giants, who I'm putting here into the bad tier. They played tough against Green Bay. Jameis Winston, even though he had like 5 turnover-worthy plays, only had 1 interception. It did cost him a game-tying game, but the run game did very, very well against the Packers defense. Offensive line was very good. And so they're still a bad team, but I think there's a lot there that people can like. Next up, the Jets. I mean, your quarterback is Justin Fields, who barely throws over 100 yards a game. There's nothing else to say about the Jets. They're kind of just seeing like what pieces are going to be there for the future. Newsflash, is not going to be Justin Fields. So they're down there in booty. Next up, Philadelphia got a key victory over the Detroit Lions there. Defense is playing absolutely lights out these past 2 weeks, but I'm still really concerned about this offense. I mean, they scored 10 and 16 points these past 2 games against contenders. You're not always going to have that kind of defensive performance. The offense needs to show that they can score more than that so that if the defense does kind of have an off game, they can do something to win. And so, still concerned about the offense, but the defense is playing absolute elite level. Next up is Pittsburgh. Putting them in here a wild card tier. I mean, great victory over the Bengals, especially with Aaron Rodgers and Jaylen Warren going down to injuries. Offense still put up 34 points. Still played really good there. Big concern to see how impact the Rodgers and Warren injuries are. There's going to be fighting with the Ravens for that division title. Could be the playoff spot as well, but the Steelers are still playing solid football. Next up, Seattle, moving up down to division. I mean, it was a close loss against the Rams. That was a 2-point loss with Sam Darnold having his worst game of the year. They're still a really, really good football team. Defense playing fantastic. They still almost won this game. And so, still a big believer in Seattle. Next up is San Francisco, who had a big win against the Cardinals there. I'm still having them in wild card tier, mainly because I still think the injuries are still a big factor. I still need to see a bit more from Brock Purdy against not the Cardinals. But still, Kyle Shanahan deserves Coach of the Year this year because of all the adversity this team has had and still playing good football.
Still needs it'll be interesting to see how they do stack up against the Seahawks and Rams in the last few weeks of the year. But San Francisco's still playing pretty well. Tampa Bay definitely moving down a lot here. They just I like the 49ers to hurt. And unlike the 49ers, they're not finding ways to win. It was a pretty big loss against the Bills this week. I mean, the defense gave up 44 points. So what the absolute heck? And so, yeah, there is Buccaneers. Titans, still I think the worst team in football. Even with a backup quarterback at the Texans, they still could not win that game. So, yeah, Tennessee bad. And Washington is bad as well. Close loss to the Dolphins in London. Not much else to say about them because they're not that good. So that's my tier list this week. In Super Bowl, we got the Rams, Colts, Eagles, Patriots. Division is the Broncos, Bills, Seahawks, Lions, Packers, Wildcards, 49ers, Steelers, Ravens, Buccaneers, Bears, Chargers, Jaguars, and Chiefs. Meh is the Texans, Panthers, Cowboys, Vikings. Bad is the Cardinals, Dolphins, Falcons, Giants, Commanders. Booty is the Browns, Bengals, Jets, Raiders, Saints, and Titans. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.